Okay now, boys, if you just stop carrying on like... We just might dedicate this next song to you.
Welcome to the Diamond Horseshoe. Come on and dance with me. Be a part of Goofy's Country Dancing Jamboree.
Just stay in your seats, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll blow you up as soon as possible.
WDW Radio, your information station. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mongello, and this is show number 620, and together each week we're going to celebrate the magic of the Disney parks, movies, and more as I take you from the parks to the screens and everything in between on the podcast, my weekly live video on Facebook, community, books, audio tours, blog, and so much more. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and find everything else at WDWRadio.com. On this installment of my Walt Disney World Resort Report, we will virtually visit Disney's Art of Animation Resort and share 10 reasons to stay, play, and dine there. We'll also look at some of the reasons why it's the most versatile value resort in Walt Disney World and quintessential Disney. I'll then share this week's trivia contest question, and be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show for more information, updates, your voicemails, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. In our continuing series highlighting the resorts of Walt Disney World, and soon, maybe the Disney parks around the world, spoiler alert, actually I just thought of that, but this week we are going to be virtually visiting one of the newest resorts in Walt Disney World, which is now almost 9 years old, Disney's Art of Animation Resort. And we're going to look at 10 reasons to stay, play, and yes, dine at Disney's Art of Animation in this week's WDW Radio Resort Report. And when you're thinking of visiting and staying at a Walt Disney World resort, if you're like me, your first thought is, where do we eat? No, I mean to turn to and call my travel agent and yours at MEI and Mousefan Travel to help me book it. And so whenever it comes to a resort report, where else would I turn but to the Nick Fury of the Mousefan Travel Collective, Becky Menken.
I like that one. Okay, I'll live with Nick Fury. That works for me. It's 10-ish, right? It's 10.
It's always, listen, any number that I give usually has an ish associated. See,
unlike some people that you choose to come on, I actually follow rules. So when you tell me 10,
I follow the rules too. And then as the show goes on, I choose to break them and move forward because I want to be complete. Because the other alternative is you get emails and tweets, which are, Twitter, which are like, how, Mongello, did you possibly not mention this?
Blah.
So I figure as long as I've done the research or it pops into my head, I try. Well, that's why it's 10 and 36 honorable mentions.
That's like your top 5 things that you do on Wednesdays. I am sitting over here literally yelling at the top of my lungs at you. And then I get frustrated with that because I realize, dang, you can't hear me. So then I start texting you, and then you're in the middle of a show and talking to people and not reading my text. So I am almost going to buy you a red flashing phone that will just go on your desk. And when I need you to hear me now, I will call the red phone.
Considering some of the things that you text to me, it's probably best that I don't look at them, certainly not read them aloud. But speaking of math, right? As I was talking in the intro about this being one of Disney's newest resorts, you probably, and it was 9 years ago, you probably are thinking as you're listening that I've got to check Lou's math, because there is no way that this resort, one, is almost a decade old, yet is one of the newest on Walt Disney World property, but it's true. Art of Animation opened on May 31st, 2012. And when I say that it's one of the newest ones, yes, there were some expansions here and there, like, villas and bungalows and Copper Creek. But, and we'll sort of keep Four Seasons out of the equation. But other than Grand Destino in July of 2019, this is the first new, standalone Walt Disney World resort.
Aside of Riviera as well. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Riviera, right. Sorry.
Yeah. You're right. You think about 2012 and it shouldn't be almost a decade ago. It shouldn't be 9 years ago. But I remember being there at Art of Animation for the opening, and it does not seem that long ago. So I'm with you. It's actually just telling us we're getting old. Just so you know, it totally means we're getting old at this point.
Yeah, well, that's true. And that's a separate conversation. Top 10 ways you know that you're getting old. When we all think, listen, I still think that the 1980s was like 15 years ago. So
yeah, weren't they? My hair, misses
when I look
80s.
At movies and somebody goes, wow, that came out 40 years ago this week.
Yeah. Oh, don't even. I saw a couple of those like in the last week, and don't get me started. 35 years ago today, blah. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm watching a show from, I'll admit it, I don't care. So I don't get to watch a lot of TV except when I'm falling asleep late at night. And I'm rewatching 1978's Battlestar Galactica right now because I am a nostalgic at heart. And I still feel like this had to have been much closer in time than it was. But as we sort of circle back to Art of Animation, let's talk a little bit about its history and timing of things too, because this had its own very interesting history as well, because Art of Animation really was never a resort that was not necessarily on the drawing board for Walt Disney World, because it's located where the other half of Pop Century currently was supposed to sit. So if you remember, when Pop Century was first announced, there was going to be the two sides of Pop Century. There was going to be the legendary years, which would have been here, but after 9/11, they abandoned, because of the huge downturn in tourism, they abandoned the idea for what was going to be the second phase of Pop Century. And this legendary hall where the current sort of check-in area sits was actually not only built, but themed and designed towards the aughts, the zeros, the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s for what was going to be that second phase. And it sat really abandoned for a number of years before they decided to completely change the theme and the concept, which I think, Becky, there's always lemonade to be made out of lemons. I'm not sure that the idea for the legendary years would have been one that would have been, I can't imagine kids going, oh, mommy, can we stay in the 10s? I really want to be in the 10s this year. No, I don't want to stay in the cool 70s or 80s. I want to be back in the 00 building.
Yeah, that whole analogy that things happen for a reason, I think that Art of Animation happened for a reason. Looking back at, to your point, who really wants to go back that far? Unless there was some good theming opportunities or some good entertainment opportunities that would have come along with those themes. But I think where it went is so much better for families, especially.
Again, I don't want to sound older than I already am, but there is something romantic and attractive about the 20s and 30s and 40s in terms of that time frame. But I don't necessarily know that every family would have loved it. I'm sure Disney had a plan for it to make it more attractive and whimsical. And while I dig the music and there's a lot of things I dig about the simplicity of that time frame, and it was more.
I have to stop you for a second and ask you, what was romantic about the 20s and 30s?
I think there was something simple and elegant about it. If you look back at pictures in terms of the way people dressed, the way people, were towards each other. It was just a simpler time. And I think maybe there's a part of me that longs for that, even in just how and ways people found their entertainment, right? So much now is, we're looking at our phone, we're looking at screens, we're together, but apart. But there, families gather around the dinner table, you gather around the radio. So I think there would have been some interesting things from it as well. But in early 2010, I think it was probably April or May 2010, Disney announced that they were not going to be going forward with the legendary years, and instead we're going to be building the Art of Animation Resort. And why cover it this week? Why cover it on a resort report this week is because I think it is arguably one of the most versatile of resorts, meaning that, and I'm probably going to use this term more than once, it's value plus, because I think there are both value and moderate level resort options here. I think there's a lot of options for a couple, an individual, a family that wants to come. And I think it very much is quintessential Disney, which I don't know that the tens building in legendary years might have been. So I thought one way to attack and approach it, much as we did with the Riviera, which we did on show 611, that was our first resort report, is we're going to talk about 10 reasons to stay, play, and dine at Disney's Art of Animation Resort. And Becky, you are, of course, my guest. And for so top 10 reasons I'm fascinated to hear what is on your list this week, please favor us with your first.
I have like 5 that are big priorities and reasons why I tell clients that the Art of Animation is a great option for them. So it's hard to pick one, especially out of my top 2, but I'm going to go with like the number one that I think is, let's just get the elephant out of the room and talk about the thing that makes it so appealing to stay there. And that is the family suites themselves, the room options that are available at Art of Animation. Because you have the standard Little Mermaid rooms, which are standard rooms, but you have these family suites, which makes up the majority of the rooms at the resort. They are like 2 standard rooms in size, so about 565 square feet, and they are beautifully themed. So you have the Cars theme, Lion King theme, or Finding Nemo theme. They have a master bedroom set apart with a door that closes, a living room, a kitchenette, which has a mini fridge and a microwave and a coffee maker, 2 full bathrooms. So if you do have up to 6, which it does sleep up to 6, 2 bathrooms for a family is amazing in a hotel room. But it also has some really cool design characteristics that we hadn't seen before when those first came out, like the dining room that converts to a Murphy bed, which is a wonderful use of space. So the main bedroom has a queen bed, the Murphy bed's a double, and then there's also a pull-out sofa, which is a double as well. So it's a great use of space. You have those benefits of having the 2 full bathrooms and the little kitchenette there as well. So you have space and you have amenities. It's easy to move around if you have 5 or 6 people in your family. And quite possibly, this is a better choice to go with one of these family suites as opposed to 5 people in a moderate resort room, because it's smaller and more compact. So if you do the comparisons, actually the value resort and family suite might be your better option for those families of 5, especially, and possibly even 4, because you do have the separation of space as well. So I think that number 1, the family suites are one of the biggest reasons to stay at Art of Animation.
Yeah, it was very high on my list as well. I've had a chance to stay there a couple of times. I'm a family of 4, and the suites are huge, right? Forget trying to sort of figure out what 565 square feet looks like in your mind's eye. And we'll talk about theming separately, but in terms of having that space to spread out, because I do think that Art of Animation is one of the resorts that I feel you are meant to stay and enjoy at. What I mean is you stay there not just because it is a value resort, but you stay there because you want to spend time at and enjoying the resort. And we'll talk about some of the amenities and activities that I think rises to that level. But having all of the different sleeping options with, the pull down bed and the sleeper sofa, that Innova bed, that table that converts to a bed so very easily. It's sort of that one-handed pull down. Mm-hmm. There's also something fun and novel about it too. Like when you do that in front of your kids and their eyes like it all went up, then all of a sudden they're fighting to sleep there as opposed to sleeping in the bedroom because they just think the bed is so cool. But you're right. You've got the kitchenette, the sink, especially if you go with young kids, maybe you want to have breakfast in your room, or if you're Lou Mongello and want to have a few rounds of late night snacks, like having that space, having those amenities. And again, as a parent, having the 2 bathrooms with bathtubs too is also very helpful as well. When I say bathtubs, I mean for your kids, not for me. Get that weird vision out of your head.
Ew.
Right, exactly.
Ew, thanks. I appreciate that.
Sorry
not.
about that.
But I also love the design touches that go so well in the theming. So like one of the tables has lyrics from some of the songs from the movie that it's themed after. And it's very playful. It's very colorful. It is so well designed from, like you said, a space perspective, but also just from a aesthetic. The coloring, the characters, the taking back to pieces and elements from the movies. It's a really fun family place to hang out in.
Which will directly lead me into one that was very, very high on my list is the theming. And I think one of the things that makes this resort so attractive and an attractor is the theming. And it's theming that is found literally from the second you go through the gates and are on Art of Animation property, through the check-in area, to the rooms, the pools, everywhere that you walk, the theming is so incredibly prevalent. And there are wonderful stories to be told here as well. So even as you go into the animation hall lobby and you see those pencil sketches of characters from Cars and Finding Nemo and Lion King and Ariel and some of those early renditions of what Lightning McQueen was going to look at, that beautiful chandelier that's comprised of about 77 individual storyboards, like animation storyboards, really helps to set the stage and get excited. And if you look very carefully, you'll find that a number of the sketches are signed by people like John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Musker and Clements. Jodie Benson has one in there as well. But I love in that check-in area, much like you have at Pop Century, being able to follow along and sort of watch the story unfold over time about how those pencil sketches become color sketches, and then those stories are brought to life. I mean, even in that building, there is so very much that goes on. And look, as you walk out onto the property, and it's a very wonderfully walkable resort, no matter where your building is, the sidewalks, for example, in the Cars section look like roads. In Little Mermaid, there's the lighting fixtures are made to look like underwater plants. Like, it feels so very Disney, not just for the larger than life statues, much like you'll find over at Pop Century, but the little details, like the Eisnerism that everything speaks, is very much true here. And I think there are things on a macro and micro level to find in terms of little details and stories to be told. And no matter what section that you're in, I think that's part of the fun. Even as you make your way to your room, you and your family are sort of trying to sort of pick up and find some of those little stylized details and what they mean. And even as an extension of that, and we haven't even, taking the rooms out of the equation, when you're in the lobby, if you download the Play Disney Parks app, they actually have a Stories of the Enchanted Gallery. So you can actually sort of you can create little animations and watch them come to life. And there's actually a playlist that's on there for music that you can find at the resort. So they really are doing things on a very simple as well as deeper level in terms of the theming throughout the entire resort.
Yeah, they really do. And as you've gone through that, you almost touched on about 3 things of my top 10.
I saw you getting me the
along the line.
heebie-jeebies.
I'm
Right.
going, what the heck? Well, I'm going to talk about the lobby then for a second and tie into that because, like you said, that beautiful light fixture. I've seen people stand underneath it with phones trying to zoom in to see who had autographed some of those panels, or just to get the little bit of detail that is on each one of those. But I love the way that it was designed from beginning to end, where you first walk in, even on the outside, where that big strip of red and orange that's on the outside is supposed to be a paint stroke to kind of open up that thing in your mind where you're walking into a storyboard and you're walking into animation. So when you walk into the doors, on your left are all the colors, on the right are all of the storyboards and the kind of like a view from an animator's perspective. So it kind of sets the stage for you right away for that theming that we love so much. The other thing that's kind of cool too, and we haven't seen this recently due to the situation, but it's one of the only resorts that I have personally seen characters actually show up in the lobby on the East Coast. I see them a lot on the West Coast over at Disneyland, but it's really special to kind of tie all that together, from what is animation on the walls to all of a sudden Tigger's walking through the lobby. So I think it's a really special place.
So if you could only stay in one section of Disney's Art of Animation, which one would you stay in? All right, again, we're talking about theming. Like, I think here, of all the resorts possibly you could stay at, I have to imagine, both from a fan perspective and a traveler perspective, this is probably the one that people, when they're booking, say, I really want to stay here. I want to stay in this section of the resort. One, is that true? And two, if they actually had a concierge level there, Becky, and you found yourself staying at Disney's Art of Animation Resort, what section would you choose and why?
It's actually an easy one for me. The Cars Land area. I love the theming from start to finish on the inside of the rooms. I love the colors and that story I'm drawn to. But one of the other things you're just going to take me to one of the other things on my list is all of the characters that are available in those areas. So there's photo ops with Tow Mater is standing right there, and you can just run over and get your picture taken with Tow Mater. Fillmore is there, Lightning Queen is there, Sally's there, Luigi and Guido are there. And like you were talking about, the sidewalks feel like roads over there, and the whole immersiveness, if you can be immersed, that's one of the places that I really feel like they've done a really good job of making you feel like you're walking into Radiator Springs, as opposed to, over in Disneyland, which is a little bit different, but in a hotel, that's what I'm drawn to.
Random pop quiz, just for fun.
Oh boy.
Of the 4 different movie sections that are represented in here, to get your hands off the keyboard, put your hands up in the air, wave them just like you just don't care. Tell me the order in which the 4 movies came out.
Oh my gosh. I can barely keep together that 2012 was 9 years ago. Are you kidding me?
Stop Googling.
I am not Googling. I have my hands. Wow. Hold on.
All right, what came out first? Just look me in the
Mermaid?
eyes. My eyes are up here. All right,
Mermaid?
What came out first? Mermaid, correct. 1989. What came out next?
Lion King?
Correct. 1994. What came out next?
Finding Nemo?
Correct.
Oh, woohoo! And Cars is last. Yay!
I'm so happy I did not offer a prize in this.
Oh man, no, there's a prize.
The prize is you have my love, affection, and I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
Yay!
All right, I'm going to go. I need to get this out of the way because it's been too long since I've talked about it. I said that there are 10 reasons to stay, to play, and to dine here. And I think that Landscape of Flavors is, and again, I want, when we talk about things like dining, we are recording in a pandemic world, but I want to talk about things as if we are not, because obviously the way things happen, and right now it's you need to mobile order, in terms of not being able to stand online. I actually did a live dining review, excuse me, of Landscape of Flavors back on show 399, which now also sounds like it was a million years ago. But I think Landscape of Flavors is a destination quick service location, because I think, and again, speaking about the menu at the time, I don't know what it is today. There are not one, not two, not three, but 5 different walk-up counters with so many different types of food options that not only is there something available for anyone and everyone in your family, and that includes special dietary requirements, vegan, vegetarian, plant-based, whatever you like, but in terms of flavors as well, because in each of the 5 different, they're almost sort of 5 different little, quick service locations on their own. There's a soup and salad and sandwich shop. There's a world flavor shop, which has literally, like, in the morning, you'll get this like challah French toast, and then in the afternoon, they've got like naan bread and veggie flatbreads, and at night they'd have, I don't know if they still have it, an amazing like tandoori chicken with basmati rice, which was so good you can create your own pasta dish, and a number of different types of pizzas. There are burger shops where you can customize your own burger, including vegan. There's also like a seafood burger, and there was like a chicken burger. They have a pastrami cheeseburger, which was so right. If the hamburger wasn't enough meat, you put some pastrami on it. Ay, so good. And then at the market, they've got you can make your own custom smoothies and coffees. They have a wide variety of desserts and gelato. So there's something for everybody. Not only that, there are in addition to the quote unquote normal, go up, fill your refillable cup with sodas or get things out of the cooler. They have a lot of different beverage options as well. So you can get made to order smoothies, different types of lemonades and limeades. There's a huge coffee and tea selection as well. There's beers and juices. So there's the 5 different seating areas. The 5 different dining types. The huge customizability of your food choices, and then there's even 4 different themed seating areas, each one like the 4 different films that are represented throughout the walls. So it's a huge location, which means there's always a lot of areas to spread out. There's indoor and outdoor seating. If you get some of those beautiful Florida days, the 4 or 5 days we have when you can actually sit outside and not swelter, but you overlook the big blue pool. Between variety of food, the how flavorful the food is. Again, I love that world market idea. Like, I literally have gone with my family or with my friends to Landscape of Flavors as a choice to go and eat, not just because I was staying there.
And they have one of the best selections of desserts there. Not that I need any more desserts, but they really do. Between the gelato and all the cupcakes and all the baked goods, they have a ton of choices of baked goods that you don't get at many of the quick service, in at least this many options. One of my favorite things there that I remember when I that really impressed me, believe it or not, was the mermaid tail cupcake. I loved that. I was drawn to it from the visual, but it was a really, really good cupcake. And I've stopped there and got a cupcake on the way to the airport once or twice, just FYI.
And they change. They're always changing not just the flavors, but the theming and the type. So you can go and not necessarily know what you're going to get because they might have something new being introduced all the time.
That's true, but I still am drawn to the mermaid tail cupcake. It's just a thing. And it's kind of fun to listen to you talk about food this early in the show, because you literally just got more excited and you looked like a 9-year-old that got his first popcorn.
Because I was thinking back to when we ate there and how much fun I was like, because it's like this huge culinary buffet. There's a lot of choices.
Ton of choices, which is perfect, especially, that's one thing about the value resorts. They do get a little bit of ding from people because they don't have usually a ton of options or choices, but that's not the case at Art of Animation, because there are so many choices in that food court, and it's huge with the different varieties of flavors that are there. You can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not eat the same thing over and over again. So I really do think that is one of the reasons to stay there.
I think customizability of your meal is huge, especially if you travel and you're with your family and, one kid is just a chicken nugget and French fry person, but maybe mom or dad want something that's a little bit more flavorful and exotic and something a little bit different. It really does run a very wide spectrum. So between choices and customizability, I think Landscape of Flavors is, if I had to do, and maybe at some point I will, not that Tim has ever eaten at any place other than like Golden Corral, but if I ever do a top 10, resort dining locations, I will tell you that Landscape of Flavors is going to be on that list.
It would definitely be up there for me too.
So what is next on your reason to stay play? I'll take Dine out since we just did all the dining.
Yeah, I was going to say, so far you've killed off 2 or 3 of my major ones I think. Another of the big elephants in the room. Let's talk about the value as well as what makes it valuable, right? So it's not just value in terms of the price, but it used to be you could figure out what the price of a resort was going to be based on its location and how far away from a theme park it was, and the transportation options that made it either more difficult to get there, or you were sacrificing ease of getting to a park for a lower rate. And with Art of Animation, thankfully to the Skyliner edition, it kind of removed that concern. So you do get a value resort with, like you said, is actually in a lot of ways a value plus or closer to a moderate in many ways. But because you've got the Skyliner there, that's an easy walk from almost any of the buildings to get to the Skyliner that can whisk you off to Hollywood Studios in 12 minutes and to Epcot in 20 plus transfer time. That is a wonderful, huge addition to the value of that resort. Being able to have a family suite that's huge for your family of 5, being able to go grab breakfast really fast in the Landscape of Flavors, and then hop on hop onto the Skyliner to get to one of the parks pretty easily, makes it another reason to stay.
So you are very much in alignment with my thinking, because I have as one on my list that Art of Animation is the best value of the values, meaning not just for dollars that you spend. And I don't want to give too much in terms of numbers, because they do change, and you may be listening to this, long after we record it. But in terms of the range of prices, I mean, you can get a room in Little Mermaid for under $200 a night, where you can also go up to one of the larger family suites for, $700 plus. So there's a huge range depending on what your needs and budget are. But like you said, you can fit up to 6 people in some of those rooms. And more importantly, in terms of value and piggybacking on what you said, I think there's also a few things that you might not necessarily think of that add value to this value resort. One, things like the hallways. Like, the hallways are actually purpose-built much wider than some of the ones that you'll find even at the other value resorts, especially places. So I want to sort of make you think about Art of Animation versus an all-star resort. So the hallways are wider. The hallways are carpeted, which is huge because that reduces a lot of that echoey outside noise. Also, Art of Animation has its own bus line. So when you take a bus from Art of Animation to one of the parks, you are not going to be stopping at, as if you would at All-Star, you're not going to go from, movies to music to sports, then your park. You're going to go right from Art of Animation right to your resort. And also you're on vacation, but I understand, especially as somebody who owns a business, sometimes business has to be done. There's actually, and this is the only Value Resort, I believe, that has it. They have their own self-service business center there. So if you need a computer, you need printers, for example, you need to get some work done, they do have one in the lobby building. So it's value with it's value plus.
Yeah. And just to go back on the numbers that you were talking about there as well, you were kind of throwing out what we're seeing as terms of their rack rates, but it fluctuates greatly. And I think a lot of times we forget to point out to people who may not realize it, that the rates fluctuate based on availability and season, time of year. If it's a holiday, if schools are out of session, the rates will go way up or way down, depending on those times of years or the availability or the demand that they foresee for those specific dates. So if you go in a low season, you can sometimes, and I'm going to stress that, sometimes get it for just over $100 a night. Sometimes you can get those suites for around $300 a night. That's in the very low time period, which of course, again, consider the time that we are recording at this point. But you look for those offers that come out. It can take 30% off. So when you're doing comparisons with the other resorts around, if they are available and all of the benefits that you get from it and the ease of transportation and all the other things that we're talking about, it really is a great value.
And also another thing that was on my list is really a separate entry, and that you mentioned, of course, was the Skyliner. And I think the Skyliner is a huge selling point for this resort, not just in terms of the convenience, but again, and maybe there's a romantic side of me that just, I love the simplicity and the comfort. And look, again, lemonade from lemons in this pandemic environment. You also have the solitude of a Skyliner, because right now it is one Skyliner car per family, per group. So if it's just you and a friend, you and your child, you and your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you have that car all to yourself. And keep it G-rated, kids. But there's something, I talk about this on the romance show. There is something beautiful and serene about that. And I think that the Skyliner is as much of an attraction as it is a conveyance. I still feel the same way and have that romantic sentiment about the monorail. But now, not having to worry about getting on and waiting for a bus and just hopping on the Skyliner, which is right there, right behind the pool, is a huge, huge value-added benefit.
It really is. And that was kind of the point, that you have your own, like you said, right now, you have your own private transportation from a value resort to a theme park. That's amazing. And it's like, you're not trying to get to the theme park. The theme park starts when you get on the Skyliner, because it is its own attraction that you can have this beautiful view as you're getting to your destination. So adding the Skyliner into the mix made Art of Animation one of the best choices on property.
Is it my turn or your turn?
It's your turn. Because
Okay.
mine was the Skyliner / value.
Good. I'm happy because one thing I think, and this is not necessarily applicable to everyone traveling, but it certainly is sometimes a concern or consideration for people. Art of Animation holds a distinction of being one of only 4 hotels in Walt Disney World that's pet friendly.
You took that off of my list.
I did. I snuck through. I looked over your shoulder and I stole it from your list. Well, because I think this is something, because Becca and I,
it's huge.
It's a question I get a lot in terms of people that want to bring not just service animals, but sometimes, you need to travel with your cat. Perfect. You can. So the 4 different pet-friendly hotels are Yacht Club, which has a floor and a section dedicated to pet-friendly rooms. Port Orleans Riverside, again, has an entire section dedicated to pet-friendly rooms. All of the loops in Fort Wilderness are pet-friendly. However, not every cabin is. Only some of the cabins are. And here, some of the buildings are pet-friendly. So there's a building in Cars, a building in Nemo, a building in Mermaid. So building 2, building 5, and building 7. So you can specifically ask for that. And if you ever need to board an animal, I have actually taken my cat to the Best Friends Pet Care Kennel, which is across from Port Orleans, closer to Riverside. It is like it's like a Becky Mencken level hotel for your pet. And some of the different options and amenities are even greater than you'll find for humans at some of the resorts. So if you need to or want to travel with your pet, this is not only one of the options that you have, but you also do have the kennel there as well.
And this is huge. When they brought over the pet friendly thing to the 4 resorts, I was thrilled because there's a lot of people who, while the Best Friends is there and you can board them during the day, you don't want your puppy, who for some of us, our animals are our children. They're the family members that we really want to make sure that take great care of, and we want them to go on vacation with us. So when you have a dog and you're able to take them and have them in the room with you, it is a huge relief for many of us. And it does cost a little bit extra right now. At the time of recording, it's $50 per night at Art of Animation. It does vary at the different locations. I think Yacht's a little bit more, but to be able to have all of your family members with you on vacation is so welcome. There's a couple of rules with it. For example, you can only have 2 dogs per room. You can't have cats. It's only dog friendly. And they do have, for those who are kind of afraid that they're allergic to pets, they're afraid that they might get a dog friendly room, that they are only specific rooms that are set aside to be pet friendly. So you don't have to worry about that if you don't have pets, and you won't get those rooms if you ask for them. So it's a nice little peace of mind for those who want to travel with all of their family members.
Nice. Now that I stole that from you, what else do you have left on your list? Now you're panicking. Now you're freaking out. That
was like the one that I'm thinking, he's never going to think of this. This is going to be one of the things he won't think of. But all right, so I'm going to... This isn't going to shock you at all. Not whatsoever. I know
exactly where you're going. I know
where am I going?
You're going to the pool bar.
You're darn right I am. Actually, the pool bar just happens to be next to the pool, which I was going to say the Big Blue Pool, which is, from all of the resorts, it's actually the largest on property of all of the pools, because it is a large resort. There are actually 3 pools in the resort, but the Big Blue Pool is the one that everybody loves to be hanging out in, because clearly there's the drop-off pool bar, which is right next to it. You can hang out with your friends and your family and go get an adult beverage, which always makes me happy. But the pool is one of the places that is a lot of fun. And obviously you're there in the Florida heat and you want to cool down and enjoy the pool. It's a great place. I do like, however, one of the things that you were asking me, and I should throw that question back at you, and I will in a minute. But when I'm thinking about the sections I'd like to stay in, the Cars area is even better because it's smaller, it's kind of more quiet pool, has the cabanas that are in the little cozy cones that are free. It's first come, first serve, but you do get the shade and you get to hang out in the little cozy cone, which I think is really cool. You would be disappointed because they're not going to bring you a cozy cone you get to eat, because that would make you, really sad that you haven't been to California Adventure for a while. But how they've themed the pools in the area, I really like what they've done.
Yeah, so I had the pool bar and the pools as two separate entries, because the pool bar, and they do have some snacks there too. I've been there only for the snacks, obviously, of course, but they do have a number of drinks. I still believe that you can get a Dole Whip, like they don't call it that. They call it like the Captain's something, but it basically is like pineapple soft serve with or without some sort of additional libation on top. But I love the fact, like you said, Becky, that there is not just, because I know sometimes the larger pools are not for everybody. Maybe you want something a little bit quieter. Maybe you just don't want so many people around. So you do have the Cozy Cone pool and the Flippin' Fins pool in the Little Mermaid section. I love the Cozy Cone pool. I almost put as a separate entry because it does have not just great theming, and it is much quieter and sort of off to the side, but you do have those little cone-shaped cabanas as well. And the Big Blue pool it's almost like, there's Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, and then there's the pool at Yacht and Beach Club, and then right under that is the Big Blue pool, because not only is it the largest resort pool in Walt Disney World with more than 300,000 gallons of water, but they also have that zero entry entrance on one side. And as I'm sure you know by now, if you dip your head underwater, you can hear music, not just from Finding Nemo, but from other. And I will tell you, the first time I went there, look, I am an overly protective, incredibly panic-stricken father. Like, you always worry about something happening to your kids. And I have this, probably irrational fear of something happening to a child and drowning. And when you go over to the Big Blue pool, like my nerves are shot because all you see are these kids floating in the pool. And I'm tempted to just run in and start rescuing kids who are just trying to lay there and listen to the music from the underwater speakers. So I told my kids, like with my daughter, I told my daughter, so when you go in, just stick your arm up out of the water like a flag, so I know you're okay.
I heard that was something that they were kind of getting concerned with, because most of the kids were just kind of bobbing, trying to listen to the whatever was going on under the water. I can imagine that caused you a little bit of a panic, knowing the father I'm having
palpitations right now thinking about it.
I could just see you at this point, like, oh my gosh, and running into the water. So,
unlike Becky, who's sitting at the pool ground, no, they're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Get them a pair of water wings. Everything's good. Yeah. Just, they probably sell those on the store.
I'd like to send my kids, they have a little, a splash zone, like the schoolyard spray ground. Just go play in the splash zone. Dad, I'm 17. It doesn't matter. Geez, you're fine right there. Put on your water wings and go play in the splash zone.
Wow. The 17-year-old with water wings in the splash zone. Yeah, you're going to be great when she gets married. Okay. Anyway. Couldn't help myself there. That's going to be so much fun. I'm just saying.
So do you have any more on your list? I do. I have one more, because I covered already the history of the resort in the intro, but I think the fact that the resort's history is so interesting and so unique, and if you see pictures of the old legendary years as you walk through and try and imagine what building was what back then, it's interesting just from a nerd perspective. Actually, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Not only was this location the home of what was going to be the legendary years, but it was also home to one of very few, I'm not going to say how many, it was also home to a little airport. This was actually the home to, it wasn't called an airport, it was called like the Epcot Ultralight Park, or the Flight Park, or Star Park.
Airstrip.
The Flight Park. It was the Epcot Center Ultralight Flight Park, which is where they would launch and land some of the small aircraft that was used for things like Surprise in the Skies and Skylidoscope. Google those, watch some of those videos. Crazy. And it's this weird, it was not a typical runway. It was a circle. It was almost like a helicopter landing pad. And it was called the Epcot Center Ultralight Flight Park. And you can still find that. And even the bridge now in between the two resorts used to be called, what was the original name of the bridge in between the classic years and the legendary years?
Yeah, a bridge.
It was called, a minute. I'm going to make that this week's trivia question.
Oh boy.
It's going to be the name of, what was the name of the bridge in between the classic years and the legendary years? If you know it, don't shout it out. Answer, you can win a prize. But I will, the last thing really on my list is that Art of Animation smells.
What?
It smells. It doesn't stink. It smells. One of the things I love, and I know you don't visit here often, but next time we go to eat at the Landscape of Flavors, we're going to walk through the main building, the main room, because one of the things that they have, look, Walt Disney World is meant to be enjoyed and savored using all five senses and 360 degrees, and some resorts, some more so than others, if you think of places like the Swan and Dolphin, Riviera, Coronado Springs, their lobbies have certain scents and smells associated and attached to them. And they do that here. And they use, much like they have the Smellitzers at the bakery on Main Street, they also do it here in the Art of Animation lobby. So when you walk in, and I don't know to identify what the smell is. It almost smells like candy and cinnamon and fruit, like not in an overpowering way, but just a subtle hint. So when you come off the bus or you come out of that Florida and you walk into that glorious air conditioning and you sort of are hit with this very gentle scent that sort of wafts through the air, it's a very pleasurable experience. Look, our olfactory senses are our most sensitive and the ones that are most connected to memories, core memories, right? So there's something, it's like walking into Pirates of the Caribbean or some attractions where that smell hits you. The same thing holds true, especially I know for people that love staying at Art of Animation. It's one of the things they talk about is how nice the lobby smells.
I honestly didn't notice that. So that's something I'm going to have to keep in mind when I go back again. I had no idea. I think some of the other things that I had on my list was it kind of talks into the theming part, because the theming there is so good and so diverse that there's so many different aspects to it. So when you start talking about theming, we hit on some of them. But for example, I think that the landscaping actually stands out as almost its own reason, because as you're transversing from land to land, like when you're in the cars area, everything is like cactus and low to the ground and tumbleweed type bushes and things that make you feel like you are really in the desert area. And in Little Mermaid, it's more lush and the greens are reminiscent of being under the sea. And over at Lion King, it's more tall greenery so that you're in a jungle atmosphere. So I think that they have done such a great job of pinpointing those teeny little details that make all the difference, that make you feel like that theming is perfectly tied to the movie that you're walking into. So I love that. In addition, I know that we touched on it as well with the characters, but there's so many individual photo ops in each of the areas too, with the oversized Ursula freaks me out. I just want to say that. I don't even want to go anywhere near that building because that chick freaks me out. But when you're under the sea, Mr. Ray is much bigger because you're supposed to be a tiny little fish. I mean, from those perspectives, they've done a really good job of theming it. And the characters around you. So I think that that's also just another reason to stay. So I'm going to flip that question around on you. You asked me, what area or what theme of the 4 would you want to be in?
It would be Cars. It would probably be Cars. There's a little part. Well, I'm going to qualify that.
Okay.
Because my son specifically loved Finding Nemo when he was younger. I'm going to get choked up again because the music from Finding Nemo the musical is what he fell asleep to every night growing up. He's 15 now. I still try and play it for him, and he's not quite as keen to it. I'm having trouble letting go. I'm very self-aware.
Clearly.
But overall, and especially to your point about the photo opportunities as you sort of winding, even the pathways are very circuitous, as if it was a winding road down Route 66. And great point. I didn't even think about that, about the diversity of the landscape throughout in terms of the horticultural choices that make you feel almost like you're at different resorts, depending on where you are. That's what makes it such a wonderfully walkable place to go and visit, even if you're staying in one of the other sections. Last thing on my list is, I said at the outset how this is a resort that I feel, and I think they all are, but sometimes you don't think of this in terms of value resorts, is there's a lot to do at the resort itself. And there was a number of activities. There's always something going on in terms of things to do. And I don't necessarily mean things that will cost something additional. So I know that in the lobby, for example, and I'm not sure if it's happening right now, but they've always had a character artist there who will be throughout the day giving online classes and sort of one-on-one teaching you how to sketch and doing free sketches in the lobby. But there are tons of free events going on at the pool, whether it's trivia, races, there's arts and crafts that you can do, a lot of different scavenger hunts. There's nighttime movies under the stars. Clearly, I had to Google this thing. There's something called a jogging trail. It's about almost a little under a mile and a half for those of you that are so inspired to lace up and go for a walk or a jog. But you could also rent bicycles and Surrey bikes. So again, going back to the original intent of Walt Disney World being this vacation kingdom of the world, you can stay, and that's why I said to stay and play at Art of Animation, because there is just so very much to do. And when the arcade opens up again, they have a wonderful little arcade in right across from the Ink and Paint store.
Yeah, and when you go into the Ink and Paint store, that's one of my favorite stores because it's so colorful and it's covered with all of the little paint jars. So everywhere you look when you're in there, it really is a throwback to looking from an animator's eyes. And the fact that hopefully they're still doing it, and if not, they will return when things get back to doing those free classes. Because to watch, I remember sitting there and watching a little group of kids that were learning how to draw one of their characters by one of those animators. And it is just a neat activity, a special little gift to be able to watch that. So a lot of neat little touches in that entire area and in the store. And then of course you have to buy things because there's tons of neat things that you have to take home with you. So you got to visit there too.
Anything else on your list?
I think the last thing is that Art of Animation is one of the most sustainable of the resorts too. They have somebody had told me that it has the most recycle bins of any resort anywhere. And I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I had heard that the pavement is made of recycled rubber that is in especially in the Cars area. So and it was one of the first.
Same thing for the floor. Now that you said that, the floor at Landscape of Flavors is also made of all recycled materials.
That's really cool. And it was the first resort that didn't have throwaway utensils and throwaway things into Landscapes of Flavor. So I love the sustainability. I love that was their first step into trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw and have seen in the overseas parks a lot. Even counter service locations using non-disposable utensils, which I love. And it also, there's something nice about, just having, it sort of elevates the experience, I think, having quote unquote real utensils to use. Look, I think that, and part of the reason why I wanted to choose this resort next for us is for all of the reasons that we just listed. I think first and foremost, the theming here is really unlike any other resort. It is the most Disney of the Disney resorts. And I think a takeaway from that is if you are staying here or visiting here, you almost need to make time for some of it is the most Instagrammable Disney resort.
That's very true.
If you are a Disney fan, because you are very much immersed in the iconography of classic Disney and Pixar films in both the theming and the decor, and obviously the life-size and larger-than-life characters.
And the other thing to think about too is while, again, a lot of people will shy away from the value resorts because of what they think is the limited dining options, you're a quick Skyliner ride away from going to Caribbean Beach and utilizing the dining places there, or over to the Riviera, or of course to the theme park. So I just think that it is a great choice, and especially for folks who may not spend a lot of time at the resort as well, where they need to kind of carve out some time to enjoy little things like the Big Blue Pool and so forth. But when you're looking at how much you want to spend on a vacation, for some people, they don't need all the bells and the whistles of a deluxe resort. And this is a perfect option to stay.
Yeah, it definitely has, I think, the widest spectrum in terms of not just opportunities, but types and costs of rooms too, from the standard to the more deluxe room. But I certainly want to know from you, our friend who's sitting here, hopefully with a snack in hand. I want to know, have you ever stayed at Art of Animation Resort? And if so, what's your favorite part, or what's your favorite section, and why? You can let me know a couple different ways. Be part of the community and conversation by joining the WDW Radio Clubhouse. That is our group over on Facebook. It is open to everyone. It is a very fun, very friendly, and welcoming place. Just go to wdwradio.com/clubhouse. I will post that question there. You can also let me know by calling the voicemail. Be heard on the air at 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1. And of course, when you are looking to play and stay at Art of Animation, or anywhere in Walt Disney World, or anywhere in this big blue world of ours, you can go and visit. I mean, don't go visit Becky, but go and visit Becky virtually by going to Mousefest. What do you mean, go please?
I'm kind of lonely here in Seattle.
You can visit Becky at mousefantravel.com.
We're here to help, as always. So right now, I just want to throw this out for anybody who's thinking about traveling to Walt Disney World. We are seeing the last 3 months of 2021 already starting to book up. So people are trying to think about when their next vacation to the world is going to be. Same thing on Disney Cruise. Same thing with Adventures by Disney. If you're thinking about doing any of these going into even 2022, people are dying to go on vacation. I know, I'm one of them, but they're pushing it out a little ways, which means don't wait, because right now people are already booking those as if they're 6 months out. So get on it, book it, know that you can cancel or move it if your dates change, but it's better right now to get something, book it, have it sitting there so that you're not going to suffer from any availability issues. Or if they book it, or if you book it early, you're going to get the best rates too, because we do price protect and proactively look for those deals and apply them. So now's the time to start thinking about anything from September into 2022 for booking.
And just because you are a member of our WDW Radio family, Becky has a special deal for you. Not only can you get a quote completely free, but all of their services will come at no cost to you. I know it's for everybody, but make them feel special because they are. So you have nothing
Absolutely.
to lose. And again, having that travel, I keep saying this because not just because I'm trying to plug, but I think we really understand the importance of the fact that your services are complimentary to those who are booking, but having that agent there if something goes wrong or if you have a question or if you need help trying to get that ADR or do something special, having the agent there is incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. We're only a text away, a text or a phone call if you need something. So you don't have to do it. We take care of it for you.
So I think next time you come, Becky, I think that we need to follow up our resort report by maybe actually having you stay at Art of Animation. And we'll do a live show from the big blue pool, probably close to the bar is where you'll be staying.
Well, what we can do is we can go to like 2 resorts so we can get ready for the next resort report. And you could stay at Art of Animation and I could stay at the other one. And then we'll be ready.
Listen, deal. I will stay at Art of Animation and you can stay at All-Star Sports during cheerleader week.
Oh, oh no, we don't want to do 2 values in a row. I mean, we haven't talked about any moderates so far. So I have a feeling we need to do that, or deluxe, because we've done a villa resort now and we've done a value, right?
Maybe I'm going to start an online petition to have Becky stay at All-Star Sports on the 3rd floor during cheerleader week.
Yeah, no. No. How do I get out of that? How do I gracefully get out of that?
It's time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, where I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World's history or see how well you pay attention to the details in which you see, heard, remember, or tasted. If you think you know the answer, you can enter for a chance to win a Disney prize package. Before we get to this week's question, we're going to go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So last week I took you way back to 1973 and asked you to tell me what celebrity helped to officially open Walt Disney World's Pirates of the Caribbean attraction in 1973. Before I reveal the answer, I want to first thank you for entering, and second, I have to tell you, in all the years of doing weekly trivia questions, this is the one that probably got the most unique responses, because some of the incorrect answers that I received included, but were not limited to, Howard Cosell, Dorothy Lamour, Davy Jones, and I don't know if you meant the monkey or the pirate, Lillian Disney, Florence Henderson, Bob Hope. The list went on, but the answer that I was actually looking for was Rock Hudson. This is the part where you pick up your phone, pull over your car, or fire up another web browser and Google Rock Hudson. You're not only going to find out that he was a very prolific actor in the 60s and 70s, including things like Macmillan and Wife and Dynasty on TV. He was also in The Magnificent Obsession. You're also going to find out that in 1973, he visited Walt Disney World to narrate the Candlelight Processional on December 15th and 16th, and then the following day, when Pirates of the Caribbean officially opened to the public, he not only cut the ceremonial ribbon and dedicated the attraction, but sent the first boat off in a ceremonial send-off. Anyway, I took all the correct entries, randomly selected one, and again, last week you were playing for a copy of my Disney Interviews book, all of my other digital products, including my 102 Ways to Save Money for an at Walt Disney World book, all 7 of my virtual audio walking tours of the Magic Kingdom. You can find all of these on the shop at WDWRadio.com. And I'm also going to send the winner a new WDW Radio Clubhouse Cobalt Blue mug, not available in stores, online, or otherwise. And last week's winner, randomly selected, is David Townsend. So, David, I have your information. I will get your prize package out to you right away. If you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So as you heard during the resort report, this week's trivia question comes from our look at Art of Animation, more importantly, Pop Century and what it was or supposed to be. And this week I want you to tell me what was the original name of the bridge that spanned Hourglass Lake and bridged the two proposed phases of what would be Pop Century's classic and legendary years. Tell me the name, the original name, of that bridge. You have until Sunday, February 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to go to WDW Radio.com, click on this week's podcast, use the form there. Again, you're going to play for the books, the audio tours, a mug, some stickers, my appreciation, and a virtual high five. You can rank those prizes in whatever order you think you like best, from best to worst. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so very much for taking the time to tune in this and every week. I hope you had fun, you learned something new, and maybe that the show brought a little bit of happiness, Disney magic, and some positivity to your day and your week. Don't forget to answer our question of the week about Art of Animation, your favorite area, and if you've ever stayed there before, in the clubhouse where you can be part of the community and conversation by going to WDWRadio.com/clubhouse. We talk not just about the show, but everything Walt Disney World, Disney Parks, Marvel, and Star Wars there. You can also connect with me elsewhere on social. I am at Lou Mongello on Twitter, on Instagram. You can also like the WDW Radio Facebook page at facebook.com/WDW Radio. Be sure and check out the WDW Radio blog and website at, obviously, WDWRadio.com. Call the voicemail. Be heard on the air, 407-900-9391. And if you have a question that you'd like me to email, wait, strike that, reverse it. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer on the air, I leave it. You see, I don't edit anything. Email me, lou@WDWRadio.com. Don't forget also to join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for WDW Radio Live on Facebook, where we talk not just about this week's show, what's going on in Disney news, but my top 5 live, where you are part of creating the list. You can call in or write in with your questions. We also have my Disney Plus pick of the week. Last week has been WandaVision, so come on in, talk about theories and discussions there. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to turn on notifications in the clubhouse and on the Facebook page so you don't miss a thing. Be sure and check out my 10 new eBay auctions this week from my personal collection. Auctions begin and end Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. No reserve. Everything starts at just $1. This week, I've got something from Dixie Landings, a set of Walt Disney World coins, a rare Adventurers Club cup, Disney Cruise Line, Hot Wheels, Funko Pops, Marvel, and more. You can easily find the auctions by going to WDWRadio.com/eBay. I want to quickly thank some of the new and longtime members of the WDW Radio Nation family. I sincerely appreciate your love, support, friendship, and help, and I love being able to give back to you each and every month with scavenger hunts, monthly care packages, t-shirts, backpacks, our private Facebook page, monthly live video group calls, and lots more. If you want to find out how you can help the show and get those exclusive rewards every month and help benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America, you can visit WDWRadioNation.com. I want to thank some of the new and longtime members and friends, including Megan Donovan, Tommy Reeves, Chauncey Friend, Keith Groshans, Tara Weaver, Hawley, and Kenneth Johnson. Again, to find out how you can be part of the nation for as little as $1 a month, visit WDWRadioNation.com. Also, now is the time, now is the best time to start taking your idea or your business to the next level, as there is only one spot remaining for my new mastermind group, which is forming now and launching in the next week or so. The group will not only help you to keep moving forward, but teach and guide you on how to profit from your passion and make your dream a reality so you can turn what you love into what you do. You can learn more about the group, how it will not only help you, but how I also will help you on an individual one-on-one basis as well. Again, the group is limited to just 6 members. There's only one spot remaining. You can learn more and apply at LouMongello.com/coaching. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via messenger or email. I'm happy to set up a quick call to help you determine if the group is right for you. And finally, my friend, and you are my friend, whether we have met yet in person or virtually or not, and if you like the show, all I ask is that you please help spread the word. Let others know that you're listening. Invite them to not only listen, to be part of the community as well. And if you can, take just a minute or two to please rate and review the show over on Apple Podcasts. It's incredibly helpful. I want to thank some recent reviewers like Jason Nocera, who's from Hand of the King. That's where he says his location is. He says, this is the original Disney Plus. Lou's podcast is by far the best podcast out there, and as far as the Disney aspect is concerned, Lou gives you all the information you need to know about planning a trip to the world, whether you've been a zillion times or you're heading for the first time. You learn loads of Disney trivia and history, from in-depth interviews with Disney Imagineers, executives, and cast members, Star Wars, Marvel, top 10s, and every possible Disney topic, and a few impossible ones too, he says, plus the awesome live dining reviews that are icing on the cake, and some of my favorites. The plus part are the intangibles Lou brings, the clubhouse community that truly is family, the positivity that gets you through even the toughest of days, the motto of choose the good that has reached so far and wide and done so much good for so many people beyond the bounds of Disney. Wow. Walt himself couldn't have done better. I disagree, but I get the sentiment. This is the Disney podcast you've definitely been looking for. And Fish48223 says, I can't afford to go to Walt Disney World. I can, however, afford to download the WDW Radio podcast, and I do. It's free. The magic returns with every podcast I listen to. The history, the storytelling, the lists, and the interviews are fabulous. I've re-listened to episodes on several occasions. Lou's show is fabulous and magical. Fish and Jason, thank you so very much. Again, to find out how to rate and review the show, go to www.radio.com/iTunes or just search for WDW Radio and Apple Podcasts. Finally, most importantly, again, thank you for your time. I know how limited and valuable it is. I hope that this show has brought a smile to your face. I hope it has had a positive impact on you and maybe even inspired you to be a little bit better. I hope that you do not only choose the good in everything that you encounter, but that you be the good for other people as well. Positivity is contagious. You can be the originator of that ripple effect and impart good to others, even beyond what you think it might be. Thank you again so very much. I hope to see you Wednesday night on Facebook. We're back here again next week. I love and appreciate you. So until next time, see ya.
Hi, Lou and WDW family. It's Elizabeth from Massachusetts again. It is Friday, January 22nd. Yeah, 22nd. Hope everyone's having a great day. I just listened to your episode 363, which was a DFI of Alien Encounter, and boy, do I have opinions. I do not and cannot handle that ride. Never have. Even when it switched over to Stitch, I was like, oh, it'll be better. Nope, can't do it. Don't know what it is. It terrifies me. It's frightening. Also, I want to know if other people feel the same way. I know there's other people out there. I think I was scarred as a child. I went on too young or something, and then it was all downhill from there. Because also, I cannot even ride Dinosaur without being terrified at the end. Why is that the scariest ride right now? There, I don't know, but it is, and I stand by that opinion. But anyway, it was a great show. Great to hear more about the attraction, especially since it isn't there now. And I look forward to what they are going to kind of do with Tomorrowland in that section. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and are looking forward to just what they do in general. Hope everyone has an awesome weekend. Be kind, be happy, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
Hey, Lou and WDW Radio family. This is Chloe Willett, previously from North Carolina, calling from Costa Mesa, California. Moved out here a couple months back and, just loving the weather, but it's difficult during these times. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Just calling to tell you guys a little bit about romance spots. Just finished listening to Lou's new episode this week, and I don't believe that it has to be just a romance between you and a loved one, or it could be a loved one meaning a family member or a sister or sibling or parent. I think that you can go anywhere across any of the properties, of course. I do think if your loved ones love something, let's just say horseback riding or fishing, those could be extravagant romance activities that you guys can go and do. I planned an evening with my father, a morning with my father, surprised to go out on Bay Lake and fish for a living on Seven Seas Lagoon, and we had an awesome time. We had a little bit of pixie dust magic happen, and we got to fish with Peter Pan. It was awesome. So anyways, guys, I love you guys. Keep up the great work, Lou. I can't wait to get back to Walt Disney World, my home, and then just waiting. I live 20 minutes from Disneyland here in California, waiting for that to reopen here. But everybody stay safe and healthy out there, and enjoy your week and your days, and talk soon, everybody.
Hello, Lou Mongello. It's Darlene Nagy, formerly of West Seneca, New York, and the new half marathon runner. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for always choosing the good and making our lives in and out of the state and across the country such a positive place to be. I am so excited for the warmer weather to get here. It's very chilly, but, you know, it's not too bad. We don't have that snow that they have up in New York, so, and Pennsylvania and across the upper north. So I am very happy I'm not shoveling anymore. Everybody, stay positive. Please wear a mask. Listen to the rules and regulations. Love and hugs. Stay safe.